Have you ever felt completely broken? Like a house with shattered windows and dust settling on every memory. That was John. After losing his family, his home became a shell, and so did A. The world kept spinning, but John had stopped. He didn't see a reason to fix the broken panes or sweep away the layers of dust. He didn't see a reason for anything at all. He was a man waiting for the end, living in a house that looked just as desolate as he felt. Then one rainy night, something small and equally broken slipped through a gap in the wall. It was a stray cat, impossibly thin, with fur matted from life on the streets. It didn't meow or demand anything. It just found a spot near John, curled into a tight ball, and shivered. John, annoyed by the intrusion, waved his hand to shoo it away. "Go on, get out of here," he mumbled, his voice raspy from disuse. "There's nothing for you here." But the cat didn't move. It just looked at him with wide, weary eyes, as if to say, "There's nothing for me out there either." The next morning, the cat was still there. Its silent presence was a strange, unwelcome disturbance in the stillness of John's grief. A faint, rumbling started when John stirred. Ignored Italiano. But by the afternoon, a tiny, weak meow echoed in the quiet house. It was a sound of need, a sound John hadn't heard directed at him in a very long time. He scowled, but something in him shifted. He found an old can of tuna in the back of the pantry, blew the dust off, and spooned it onto a chipped plate. The cat devoured it in seconds, its small body trembling with hunger. For the first time in years, John had a purpose, even if it was just feeding a stray. Days turned into a week. The cat, whom he started calling Smokey, would follow him from room to room, a silent, gray shadow. Its constant presence began to highlight the house's disrepair when a cold wind whistled through a broken window, making Smokey shiver. John found himself rummaging through the shed for a piece of plywood and some tools. As he hammered the board into place, sealing the gap, he felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in ages. Competence. He had fixed something. The wind no longer howled through that room, and Smokey found a new favorite spot to nap, bathed in a sliver of sunlight. Fixing that one window was like pulling a loose thread. John noticed the leaky faucet in the kitchen, its constant drip, a sad rhythm in the house. He thought about how Smokey would sometimes try to drink from the puddle it created. With a sigh, he dug out his old toolbox. He spent an entire afternoon under the sink, wrestling with pipes and wrenches. When he finally stopped the drip, the silence that followed was peaceful, not empty. He had made his home a little better, a little more livable. For the cat, he told himself. Only for the cat. Slowly, almost without realizing it, John began to rebuild his life around this small creature's needs. Smokey needed a clean place to sleep, so John started clearing the clutter, sweeping the floors, and washing the dusty blankets. Smokey needed to play, so John found an old piece of string and spent evenings dangling it, watching the cat leap and pounce with growing energy. The sound of his own laughter, rusty and unfamiliar, startled him one day as Smokey comically chased its own tail. He was laughing. When was the last time he had done that? As Smokey grew stronger, its coat becoming sleek and its eyes bright, the house transformed alongside it. The windows were repaired, the dust was gone, and the air no longer felt heavy with sorrow. John started cooking real meals again, not just for himself, but because Smokey would weave around his legs, purring in anticipation. He was no longer just a man waiting in a ruin. He was a man with a routine, a man with a responsibility. He was a man who was needed. His neighbors, who had kept a respectful distance for years, started to notice the changes. The yard was tidy, and sometimes they'd see John sitting on the porch with a handsome gray cat on his lap. One day, a friendly neighbor, Mrs. Gable, stopped by. "That's a beautiful cat, John," she said, smiling. "He looks so healthy now. My kids would absolutely love a cat like that. We could give him such a wonderful home." The offer was kind, logical even. A family with children, a warm and lively house, it was everything a cat could want. For a moment, John considered it. It would be the right thing to do, wouldn't it? To give Smokey a better life than what he could offer. He looked down at the cat, now purring contentedly on his lap. He reached out to stroke its head, and Smokey leaned into his touch, a gesture of pure trust and affection. He opened his mouth to agree, but the words wouldn't come out. The thought of the house falling silent again, of the empty rooms and the quiet mornings, was unbearable. He pictured Mrs. Gable trying to pick Smokey up, and he imagined the cat resisting, digging its claws into the familiar fabric of his old sweater. "Thank you, Mrs. Gable. That's very kind," John said, his voice surprisingly firm. "But I think he's already home." The cat hadn't just stumbled into a broken house, it had chosen a broken man, and it refused to leave. Smokey stayed, not because the house was perfect, but because it was his. He stayed with the man who needed him. This story makes you think, doesn't it? We often believe that love is something that comes to rescue us, to save us from our despair. But sometimes, that's not how it works. Sometimes, love doesn't arrive to save you. It arrives to need you. And in the process of being needed, in the simple, daily acts of caring for something or someone else, we find the strength to save ourselves. The purpose we find in another's vulnerability can be the most powerful force for healing. It pulls us out of our own heads and anchors us in the present. John didn't fix his life because he suddenly found the will to live for himself. He fixed it because a small, fragile creature depended on him. He rebuilt his world, one small act of care at a time, until he realized he had built a new life for himself, too. Has something or someone ever given you a reason to keep going when you felt like giving up? Maybe it was a pet, a child, a friend, or even a plant that needed watering. That feeling, the realization that you matter to someone else, can be the spark that reignites your own flame. What happens when you understand that your presence, your effort, your love is essential to another being? It changes everything. It gives you a reason to fix the window, to cook the meal, to get up in the morning. It gives you a reason to live. Tell me in the comments, what is the cat that chose you when you were feeling broken? I'd love to hear your stories. Thank you for watching. And if this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more content that touches the heart. See you next time.